Hey folks, welcome back to the show. So glad that you're with us. Listen, we're with Romesh Ruthnaswamy, owner, operator of the Jasmine Desi Asian Grill. Romesh, welcome to the show. So glad to have you here, man.
Mike, always a pleasure to be with you.
Listen, we were just recently on the WOND radio show. Nothing like what we're looking at right now. It's smell-o-vision, as you say. But Romesh, as we go into this interview, first I would like to get your passion. Where did you start? It wasn't with food. Tell us a little bit about your journey here to where we are today in Galloway.
Well, food's always been a part of my journey. It's like, in terms of what I did, I started working with IT and then I went with healthcare. And after COVID, I decided I needed something different. And I said, okay, since food's always been with me, this is what I was going to get into. And then I happened to meet up with Navjot and Ricky, two amazing partners, two chefs who actually made a perfect deal with us. So here we are with Jasmine Desi Asian Grill, an experience.
True experience. Well, what I want to go is I want to even go back when there was little Romesh. What were you doing then? Tell us, where you were in this world and your experiences to wind up here. And we're going to get to that. But that's what I want to get into to let the folks at home know you a little bit better.
Sure. So I grew up in India. My parents were in India. I was born in a town called Chennai and then lived all my life in Bangalore. Came from two families that my mom's family, my dad's family loved food. All our vacations with all the cousins and uncles and aunts was all around the dinner table. So you got to experience different things, and only thing was that whatever was in your plate had to be finished.
Yeah, right.
You didn't have a choice. So I got a lot of experience in terms of trying different foods, etc., and appreciating and enjoying food. And went from there, studied, went to a Catholic school, Catholic college, finished, did my BSc, then I joined a software company, and this was in the 80s, worked over there, traveled around quite a bit, with my job, I actually went down to Southeast Asia, and that's where I really started really exploring food, all the different things, and then traveled all over the place, and then finally moved to this country in '89, moved in and still was with technology. Started off over here in DC, then to New York. Then I ended up in Kansas City.
Barbecue.
Barbecue nation, barbecue. I mean, I've never had such good rubs. The barbecue rubs, the barbecue festival, the barbecue competitions that they had in Kansas City, amazing. And the meat was just absolutely fantastic. From there, I moved back to New Jersey, to this area, in 2008 and started off with healthcare. A complete change from IT, moved over to healthcare, radiology, and then a couple of years ago decided I had it after COVID. I said I needed to do something that I enjoyed. And then Ricky and Navjot were around. We had this fantastic opportunity and we grabbed onto it. And here we are today. Jasmine Desi Asian Grill.
And I always like talking about that journey. I mean, for all of us. And when you were talking about being in India, and it's a funny thing when all of us, whatever ethnicity we are, we're always, well, man, we eat, I know Spanish. We're we love to sit down and eat. But eating and sitting with family, it's worldwide. It's everywhere. And in the Indian culture, so much, because a few of my friends, I love it. It reminds me quite a bit with a couple of my buddies I grew up with in the Hamilton area. It was just I was wow, that's like my family. But that's food. That's what food does. And whether it's Indian food, Spanish food, American food, Italian, it brings everyone together. And that's where I want to go, because we're going to talk about your inspiration in a little bit, but talk about that relationship with your partners and how they are passionate about what we just spoke about, food.
Yes. So food, yes, you're right. I mean, from our culture, it's an integral part of our society. It's an integral part of our family, and that's who we are. So everybody sits around the table. And it's family style. So you have all your dishes like we have them laid out over here, and then everybody eats and talks and converses over there, make relationships over there, build, argue, fight, laugh, everything, you know. But food was what brought everybody together. Like,
Yeah.
you could be screaming at each other, but you'd sit down at a table and you'd enjoy a meal together, you know. And well, Ricky and Navjot, both of them absolutely love Asian food, like Southeast Asian food. Like, you know, Ricky, in fact, he grew up in Nepal. And then from Nepal, he came to India when he was about 15 years old. He worked in this chain of restaurants called the Taj Group. He won a culinary award really young. Shangri-La.
Wait a minute, he looks young.
He is young.
That's
He is
amazing.
young. I mean, like, but he's got over 25 years of experience in the kitchen. You know, and he comes from a family that loves food. You know, a lot of them are cooks and chefs in their own thing. So he really is passionate about it. Like, you know, he sees things, he's curious, he's inquisitive. And for him, there are two things that are really important: what comes into his kitchen and what leaves his kitchen. You should see him the way he is with his vendors. Like, you know, I need my cabbage like this. I need my cauliflowers like this. This is how my chicken's got to be. Like, you know, he is very, very particular, because at the end of it, it's what he's going to serve. Okay, and he cooks with his heart. You know, so when he was with Shangri-La, he actually went worked in Southeast Asia, in Thailand, in Indonesia, Malaysia, and stuff like that. That's where he also built his passion for Southeast Asian food. Navjot loves traveling, okay, and Southeast Asia is the place where he is. So Navjot is actually has two restaurants in Westchester, in New York. Okay, he's an acclaimed chef. One of his restaurants, the first one he started, Chutney Masala, which was an Indian restaurant. Today is a Michelin Bib Gourmand restaurant. It's been voted the best Westchester restaurant for 8-9 years now on a roll. And he and Ricky happened to get together and start off a restaurant called Sambal, which is a Thai Malay restaurant. You know, again, both their passions are in Southeast Asian food, like. So they got together and put it. And then Navjot was looking at expanding, like, you know, coming into different areas, etc. We are so blessed that we both got them here, like, you know. Now we've got Jasmine. And one of the big advantages that we had when we took over Goodfellows was the size of the kitchen.
Right.
You know, because here you've got Indian, you've got tandoori, you've got Asian, you've got Thai. Each one is cooked differently, needs different equipment, etc. So our kitchen is large enough to have these 4 areas manned by 4 different chefs at all points in time.
No, and that's the beauty of it. Brought me in recently to the kitchen a few weeks ago, and listen, it was amazing to go in there and see the artistry of Chef Ricky and the others. And what I took notice, and you just touched on it, Romesh, was how, you know, we're talking Indian, Thai, and Asian food, folks. This is not your average, even Indian restaurant or any type. And it's done specifically on that part of the kitchen. It's not that crossing or whatever. Not that I mind. I like mixing stuff together. But that's what I found to be very unique in the size of that.
So it's possible. You can switch around and move things around and have a same person do it. But when you're cooking, now, most of the spices, most of the ingredients are pretty much the same. Okay, there are a lot of subtle differences, like, you know, you have the galangal for the Thai and the Asian food, you have the ginger in Indian food, you use tomatoes in one to get the sourness, in the other you're using lime leaves, kaffir, lemongrass, etc. So similar spices or equivalent spices, but where the difference is in the way it's cooked. Okay, Indian food, it's like braising. You're putting layer over layer over layer of flavor and building a flavor. Okay, so you start off with the onions and you start off with the spices and then keep adding things one on top of the other, and it's braising over a long period of time. Whereas the Asian food, you're cooking on a very high heat and you're agitating these things up. Okay, so like you saw, you know, you've got one hand, you've got the wok, you've got the ladle in the other hand, You're tossing all your ingredients in, your sauces in, and then you're actually using your knee to control the temperature, you know, to increase the heat, decrease the heat, etc. So Asian food, it's like that. It's fast, toss, agitate, add, and it's out. Okay, but Indian food, it's like you're braising, you're waiting to get that smell, you're waiting for it to get that color, you're waiting for it to get that flavor, and then you're adding your next ingredient. So we'd like to keep them all separate.
Right.
You know, and that's why we have 4 different chefs over there at the back with Ricky overseeing everything, like, you know. So that's the difference. And even with the way you cut onions, I mean, like with Asian food, you cut onions differently. With Indian food, you're cutting it differently. So you've got your bain marys at the back that have all their ingredients also cut separately. Yeah.
So Ricky is back there, like just not too long ago, I had a friend of mine, Dave Damiani, in the No Vacancy Orchestra. He runs an orchestra. He's a maestro. He puts it together. So Ricky's back there directing and watching and giving his inspiration and whatnot. That, again, is something where it takes synergy. I mean, we got all these wonderful plates here, and we're going to talk about them very soon. So you just be patient there, right? That synergy where you have to, because there's got to be communication.
Yes.
That's very key. We got about a minute or two, but talk about that because that has to go on in the kitchen.
That communication, that's where Ricky, I mean, like if you see him when he's working and we are jammed, okay, because you'll have a table coming in ordering, let's say, a katal ki boti, a Chinese bale, a pineapple fried rice. All of them have different cooking times. But that's where the mastery of Ricky comes in. Like, he'd get them all out at the same time. He knows when they have to fire that.
So when one has to go in, has to cook a little longer, don't start that one yet. And I get what you're saying. Listen, it is a wonderful way. It can't be, and I shouldn't say this, but when I'm just thinking as me, Mike Lopez, can't be easy because it has to be timed properly. Again, there's so much going on when you're slammed and you're bringing these different dishes, and each person wants it to be the way they want it, correct? One of the things I noticed about you when I say the way they want it, lots of times in your restaurant, some people feel, not in your restaurant particularly, intimidated because they may look at it, a menu and say, oh, well, I don't know, let me just get the, but what you make it so easy for someone, and your servers and waiters and waiters, yes, touch on that real quick though, because that's so important when you come to a unique restaurant like this, to be comfortable and be able to order and listen to what the person is saying.
Exactly. So, and you're right to use the word intimidating, because when you look at some of these things, you look at like rara, goat, man, like your mind starts concocting things up, okay? But you need somebody that would be able to explain it, to understand whether you want a complex dish, you want a simple, flavorful dish, what heat levels you want, what proteins you need, etc. And all our staff are trained really well in terms of like finding out what the customer needs and then making sure that we give it to them. And we cater to all different palates.
And that's the beauty of it. Listen, folks, stay right where you're at. We're going to be right back with Romesh. We're going to talk a little more Jasmine Desi Asian Grill, and we're going to get into what's on this table right here, because I know you've been waiting for here and to want to know what's going on. We'll be right back.